My question for you all, because we have a lot of listeners who are, you know, they're graduating school, they're about to start college, they're trying to think. Like our job is to lay out the playbook of the 21st century entrepreneurial musician. And one of the things I've learned personally is building a brand is important. It is key. It is the only game in town. And so, what are some mental models or frameworks? Like, do you guys have like a filter like that you guys ask yourself about a project that you go through that like helps you distill your brand? Like, what do you do to continually build like this demand for time for three in the market?
Yeah, let's just like,
Can we hop on?
let's wave a magic wand, right? For everyone listening right now.
Yeah.
And let's just say stigma of business and music is vanished. It's gone. And now we're going to embrace that as musicians. We're going to put on our business hats. We're gonna be as creative with what it takes to get our music out there as we are with the artistry of being a musician. Okay. So what if that's a parallel course? Those lines never intersect, but they're always going in the same direction as fast as possible, or maybe as efficiently as possible. Right. So what does that mean? Okay. Well, that means that, this whole like playing it cool as an artist and never talking about the business has to be like ripped up and thrown in the trash.
Oh yeah.
Like we just have to get over ourselves.
Yeah.
We are entrepreneurs. We're very creative, business-minded people, and we have an advantage because we're extremely creative with our instruments.
Yes.
So that's a beautiful thing. So maybe as like an overarching theme, or like philosophy, if that's some sort of a vision or image that helps people that are listening right now, I say go with that, because I know that when I was raised as a musician personally, every time the business was brought up, or I should say most of the times that the business was brought up, it was a very uncomfortable subject. Mm-hmm. I remember the very first time I had to negotiate for myself, and I went to my bass teacher at the time and I said, I have this wedding engagement with a friend of mine. I'm 15 years old. I'm not going to charge as much as you, sir, because you're a professional. But what would you recommend a lowly person like myself goes ahead and charges? And he was amazing at this first answer was a great answer. He said, Renan, if you go to mow somebody's lawn, are you going to be cheaper than the other guy? Or are you going to find out what the rate is to mow the lawn? I was like, okay, well, I guess that's a good point. He's like, so look, this is what I would charge. Go ask for that. And I got it. Every answer following that wasn't nearly as direct. And I think that the honesty has to come from the people that are answering the questions. I think, we also need to kind of get over ourselves, because right now this is hard for me to talk about. It's difficult. Yeah, because I think it's because of the way that I was raised as a musician and with the business. So it's a constant like sort of juxtaposition. But I force myself to get over this because I believe that it's a much better end result to think with that type of openness. But also you have to have a product to market, right? Yes. You can't just like market something that doesn't exist. And we could all take that however we want to take that. But, there has to be something that you're trying to put out there, so that takes some time to find. And, chicken and the egg, not only one, necessarily comes before the other, but I think there needs to be some sort of a balance within all that. I think what happened at Time for Three is we stumbled upon joy with each other as musicians. And then when we found that joy and we knew that it existed, we wanted to bottle it up.
There you go. I love that.
You gotta love what you do,
Yeah.
You gotta love what you do. I mean, talk about how y'all. I mean, this is before our time, but when they started the band, like how y'all marketed yourself, it was a totally different time.
By VHS tape. That's how freaking old we are.
That's in vogue. I hear this coming back, bro.
We made a VHS demo video.
What are those, guys? What are those? Do you know what those are?
Yeah. So for our listeners, a VHS is kind of like Netflix, but only one show. and you have to physically rewind. So that's
Rewind.
that's just
exactly.
And
If
you
you look it up,
don't record over your soccer game
Yeah.
in third grade.
Yes, exactly.
If you look it up, you can find it right next to anxiety and fear.
That's how they
VHS
make
is a
them.
disease. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
but
syndrome.
I'm going to just tag on to what these guys said
Please do.
because what Charles was indicating was, and what Renan said, I just remember when I was studying at Curtis, I was very much on the violin solo track. Like I was going to be a concerto soloist. I was already auditioning for major conductors. I was playing solo dates, and I was playing in this Curtis orchestra, which I loved. I mean, I loved all the repertoire, but it was Philadelphia. The Roots were still in town hosting open mic sessions at University of Penn on
Get
Sunday
out
night.
of here.
And I would go play buckets and I'd jam with like that whole crew.
Let's go.
So I was like,
Quest.
there was like incredible musical moments I was having. The thing that was so incredible to me was with Time for Three, while I was so focused and involved in those other things, Time for Three, it was amazing that we had this one gig for literally thousands. It was like, I don't know, 1,500 people or something, not thousands of people, but like 1,500 audience members in DC. It was a corporate event. And we maybe rehearsed for 15 minutes on stuff. I remember, though, in the heat of the moment, how easy it was to groove musically together, like literally a groove, but also spinning our sound in a collective way that was really intense. How huge the audience reaction was and how fulfilled, like exhausted, not exhausted, like physically exhausted, but like I just laid something out on stage. And that combination, the ease in which all that came about as a delivery system for me emotionally was something that I identified. And for me, that was the brand recognition. And I think our filter is like we each are involved in different projects. I just got off a tour playing standard core classical repertoire, which I love. Not for Time for Three, but it's for that. With Time for Three, this is something like we spend a lot of time thinking about certain ingredients that are necessary for us to do our thing. And that when we talk about brand recognition, it's coming from that vibe, that criteria. And then you sort of stick on the marketing, and then you sort of stick on the partners and all this. And I think for us, that's really something. So like Kevin's music, like Jennifer, we've each had this incredible experiences with other composers that we're now bringing to the table for Time for Three for future collaborations.